on page 10 from the packet for Claymont City Schools, Indian Valley Schools, and Tusky Valley Schools. Can you tell us what that's about, Michelle?
Yes, those are all funding going to the schools for K through 12 prevention that we received the money for last year and we're able to carry over into this year. I, for some reason, thought that I could use a super blanket for that, but I can't because it's a one-time payment. So I didn't have individual purchase orders in place at the time, and that's why I'm requesting this.
Okay. We'll need, does anyone have any questions about that for Michelle?
I don't have a question, but I think when it's time to vote, I may need to, probably the best thing for me would be to abstain, because our hope is that our district would benefit from that as well.
Agreed, Mark.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so we will need a motion and a second from the committee.
This is Kelly. I motion.
Julie, could I interrupt just a second?
Sure, Brad.
I would suggest that Mark not only abstain, but in the record should indicate that he did not participate in the discussion of that vote.
Okay. Danielle, can you make sure to note that?
I think Danielle is going to be at the full board.
Oh, she's not here.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll need, somebody will need to bring that up at the full board meeting. Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the then and now? That was, sorry, Kelly did that. Is there a second?
I'll make that.
Okay, so Paul Rossi is seconding that. I guess we probably need a roll call vote. Natalie, would you mind doing that?
I do not mind doing that. Jen Demuth.
Aye.
Paul Rossi.
Aye.
Kelly Engelhardt.
Aye.
Mark Murphy is abstaining. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, motion carried on that. Okay, then we have the list of bills presented to us for October 21st, and there's 2 pages of those, and they're on page 11 and 12 of the packet. Are there any unusual expenses that you would want to point out, Michelle?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure if everybody saw that there was an updated packet that went out this morning with a complete packet with all new financials, not all new, but financials that were more updated for the September finances. So that's why it's highlighted in yellow and showing what changed from the time that I sent the original to the time that it went out this morning. Basically, the only thing that really is on the list of bills that is unusual or not occurring frequently is the McFadden insurance at $864. That is our bond insurance. So it's right about in the middle of the page, and that only happens once a year. So I know I like to bring those once a year things to your attention just because you don't see them often. On the back page, well, on page 12, if you look at the 736 JB jail-based reentry, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office had some turnover and word didn't get passed on that the fourth quarter report needed to be submitted to us for payment. So we received this right after our September board meeting. I talked to Natalie about it. It is $4,800. We decided that we should probably pay it because they provided the service. So what that did is that changed the June figures that we approved last year or last month. We will just need to approve the new June figures because they've been altered by $4,800.
Okay, that's why you sent the June balance sheet again.
Right.
Okay.
Nothing changed on the June balance sheet. It's just the September balance sheet and revenue and expenses, and they're minor changes. But yeah, the Carroll County, the balance sheet in September would have decreased $4,800 because of this additional expenditure.
Okay.
About 7 items down from that, the Ridgeway Auto Repair, was that a client that needed transportation fixed up?
Yes. Yes, for her position, she was a home health aide or is a home health aide. And so she needed transportation that was reliable. So that was one of the things that we decided to fund. We've also have, as you notice, the American Electric bill and that particular line item is pretty high too. There've been a lot of individuals calling indicating that, their electric's been shut off and that type of thing. So we've probably have, there may be about, I don't know, 8 to 10 people listed in there for getting assistance for AEP.
Okay. Michelle, under line item 881 on page 11, is that our last payment, you believe, to the auditor?
I never can tell for sure. Sometimes they trickle in.
Okay.
It's a small one. I don't think there's going to be any other big ones. I think if there's anything, it'll be them releasing the audit, or, the hour that it took them to release the audit or do whatever they did to finish it up. It doesn't indicate what the job was that they performed for that amount, so I can't tell. It's just the hours.
Mhm.
So I'm going to leave it open just a little bit longer, that purchase order open just a little bit longer in case they bill additional.
Okay.
Michelle, can you remind us what item 740 K through 12 prevention is? I know we had done some bullying prevention at one point, and obviously we've done some related to mental health, and I was just curious to be reminded, please.
Okay,
Do you want me to speak about that, Michelle?
I'll let you take it.
Thank you. Jen, that is OMOS funding. They gave us a little over $205,000 that was divided per capita per enrollment in Tuscarawas and Carroll County schools. The schools had a handful of requirements. They had to do a self-assessment, complete action plans. The programming needed to be evidence-based prevention. And you will see over the next couple months, starting with Dover and a handful more today, that schools have completed those requirements and are beginning to invoice the board for that state fund, those state funds.
But what are they using those for, though? Like,
So it's
just any kind of, evidence-based programming for prevention, or?
correct. It's mental health and substance use prevention. They have an attachment about evidence-based practices that schools could pull from. But yes, it's definitely connected to mental health and substance use.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional questions for Michelle or Natalie about the list of bills?
This is Kelly. I just want to go back to that 737 community housing, just to understand that the people that we were helping with the electric and the rental assistance are the people that are already part of our housing program.
Some of
Is that correct?
I think that some of the people that we are helping don't have enough money actually to pay for it. So we did use some crisis flex dollars to extend help to those people. It's kind of a one-time assistance. We're certainly not paying it as an ongoing type of thing. So if they didn't have housing, they would probably be on our list anyways. I mean, if they were.
Kelly, and I want to jump in here. These are individuals typically with a mental health diagnosis. If not mental health, most definitely addiction, but it's vastly outweighed in mental health. We may not subsidize their housing, but they are in our treatment system. And our belief is that if we don't support some of these supportive efforts, that their behavioral health symptoms will worsen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I completely support it. I was just wanting to make sure that they were already people that were in our treatment systems, and, because counties through JFS have that, prevention, retention, contingency funding that really pays for the same thing for families that might not necessarily have that mental health or substance abuse diagnosis. So.
Yeah. The other thing I think that's important, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't have anything else, Natalie.
Okay. The other thing that I think is important is Michelle has mentioned crisis flex dollars a couple times, and that's another pot of money that the state gave the boards. And the goal of that is to either step people down from crises or prevent crises. And so that's probably potentially a use it or lose it during this biennium. So if there's a way for us to tie a request of our clients, our consumers to a crisis prevention or intervention to use those dollars, we're going to try to find that way.
Yeah, that was my question too. If we could, just to give the deep dive into where the money's coming from. So that way, I mean, that significantly justifies it right there just by saying, we're not just pulling money out of an unknown area, which obviously it's 737, but where does that money flow down into us from? So good.
And I think Mike and the case managers are very good at looking at other sources, or Mike aids them in looking at other sources for assistance before they come to us. So it's not like we're just paying for everyone without any other options. We make sure they don't have any options before we take care of them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no further questions, we need motion and a second to approve the list of bills for the total of $381,747.48 for the month of October.
So moved.
Thanks,
That was me, Mark.
in your new surroundings.
Yeah. I'm pretty versatile.
Yeah, you made that transition very smoothly.
Thank you.
Is there a second for that?
This is Kelly, I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. All right, we'll do a roll call vote again.
Mark Murphy,
Yes.
Jen Demuth,
Aye.
Paul Rossi,
Aye.
Kelly Engelhardt.
Aye.
Thank you.
I think Mark needs to abstain on that one because it's the list of
Oh.
bills.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I abstain. And so I should probably not make the motion.
yes.
That's correct.
Maybe want to redo that.
The wheels
I'm
are
so
falling
sorry.
off in the budget committee.
Okay, let's do a retake of that. Is there a motion to approve the list of bills for the $381,747.48?
This is Paul. I will.
Hi, okay, thanks, Paul. And then a second, is that still you, Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, now let's try the roll call vote.
Mark Murphy,
Abstain.
Jen Demuth,
Aye.
Paul Rossi,
Aye.
Kelly Engelhardt.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carried. Next, we have the balance sheet from June 30th. And Michelle, I know she already spoke a little bit to this, but is there anything else you would add on why you're bringing that back to us?
Just to make those corrections, the updates that were made on the list of bills for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. That's the main reason, because that adjusted the unappropriated balance going into the next year.
Okay, and when we look at the list of expenses, I'm trying to scroll through to see where that's listed.
The 4,800.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you where it is.
7363E. Is that it?
On page 15, jail-based reentry is about the seventh item from the
Yes.
bottom of the page.
Okay.
It's $21,550.
Mm-hmm.
We had paid Tuscarawas County their fourth quarter of $16,250 in September. So the difference is the increase of the 4,800.
Okay, to 21,050.
Is the
Okay.
total between the two.
All right, and you need us to make a motion to approve the amended statement.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, are there any other questions for Michelle on this item? If there are none, is there a motion to approve the amended statement of revenue and expense for June 30th, 2020?
This is Paul. I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Mark Murphy,
Yes.
Jen Demuth,
Aye.
Paul Rossi,
Yes.
Kelly Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, now we're moving right along to the September balance sheet. Michelle, what would you like to share about that?
Okay, on the September balance sheet, we did increase the unappropriated reserve, or excuse me, decreased the unappropriated reserve because of the additional $4,800 expense. The second one is the budgeted appropriations under reserves. That's the carryover amount that we used in fiscal year 20. At this time, we're keeping it at that level until all of our various funding sources finally come in and are finalized before we can determine what we actually need to support the programs. So that's about the only thing on there.
Okay, and with us being, I think 4 months into the fiscal year, how much longer will it be until we would know all of those?
Funds are coming in almost weekly or, bi-monthly. There's just SOAR has been increased or added for another 2 years. A lot of the COVID funding that's coming in for assistance, some of those things can offset what we're doing, and that way we can save some of our reserves for other things. But hopefully we will know soon. We did get the large RSP grant through FEMA for COVID, and that was for our public awareness. And we haven't gotten a notice of award yet on it. We got documentation from the state saying we've approved this, but we don't actually have the notice yet. So it hasn't been included in the financials for that purpose.
Okay. All right, any questions for Michelle about the balance sheet? And Michelle, just to clarify, do we do a separate approval for the balance sheet and then another separate one for the statement of revenue and expense, or it's all together?
You're together.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
So looking then at pages 18 and 19, I guess now and 20 that go over the revenue and expense, I noticed that if you just look at overall percentages, our total revenues 27% and the expenses are 26%, and we're about a third of the way into the fiscal year. So those don't seem like they're far off from us receiving and spending about a third of our budget. Is that correct, Michelle?
Technically, we don't have all of October in there, so we'd be close to a third.
Okay.
But I mean, some of the agencies are further along than others. Some have used up more of their funding initially. The CommQuest is one of them. They're going to, if they stay at the rate that they're at, their mental health Medicaid will not hold out.
Okay. Are there any others that you are worried about that we need to make adjustments?
I don't think so. The only other things that'll be included would be the revenue and the expenses for the HUD programs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not showing the total. I wanted to talk with Mike about that to get the firm numbers before I put them in here, but the revenue and the expense equal. So the balance sheet wouldn't change at all with those being included or not included at this point.
Okay. Are there other questions for her?
I just have one. I noticed there's 2 agencies. Specialized docket supports already utilized 100% of their line item, and so did mental health psych drug reimbursement. If we're a third into the year, are we going to be, or it looks like they're 100% used up. What happens to 2/3 of the rest of the year?
So Paul, can I speak to that? That the specialized docket money is just in and out. Both drug courts get $30,000 annually.
Okay.
That just went right out. And the psych drug reimbursement is based on billings. So whatever is billed for that is what is reimbursed. So that will always be 100% 100% in and out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, if not, is there a motion and a second to approve the balance sheet and the statement of revenue and expense for the month ending September 30th, 2020?
I would make that motion.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
This is
I'll
Kelly. I'll
second.
second.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Kelly can second.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. All right, can we please have a roll call vote, Natalie?
Mark Murphy,
Yes.
Jen Demuth.
Aye, sorry.
That's okay. Paul Rossi,
Yes.
Kelly Engelhardt.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. And then I think our last item is the county preliminary calendar year 2021 county budget. Michelle, what should we know about this?
Okay, this is basically what the county will put on for us to start with at the beginning of the year in January. So when we'll be able to encumber purchase orders right from the beginning of January based on this budget, because it'll be put on, it's not a temporary budget. It's an annual shot at what we know now. And this is what'll be available. This is not, I mean, some of the figures are going to look higher than they do on our operating budget. That's not an issue. We don't exceed our operating budget. This is just used because we like to put a little extra money, unappropriated dollars, into different accounts so that we have some wiggle room in case something comes in that we thought would go under supplies and it goes under something else. It's just difficult to sometimes have all your line items exactly on. So the total for this is $5,698,640. That is using $637,280 as the reserves to balance it, or the unappropriated, I should say, to balance it. And we have over $1 million. So currently, I don't know what it'll be at the end of the year. You'll see this budget again after the year-end figures are presented by the auditor's office, and then I will go through and make it so that it's a real solid budget.
Okay, and that's why this is preliminary, and then it
Right.
will come back to us. Will that be in January?
Hopefully in January, as long as we have a meeting. I know sometimes it's iffy, but it will have to be approved at least no later than the March board meeting. It has to be in place by April 1st.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments for Michelle on this preliminary calendar year budget for the county auditor? There are none, then we would need a first and a second to approve this budget.
I can make the motion.
Thanks, Mark.
I'll second.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, roll call vote.
Mark Murphy,
Yes.
Jen Demuth,
Aye.
Paul Rossi,
Yes.
Kelly Engelhardt.
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, did we cover all of our items?
You did, or we did. Yes, we did. We did good.
Okay, terrific.
Nothing to spare.
I will not be able to attend the full board meeting, and I am asking if there's someone here that feels comfortable with presenting the recommendations from the budget committee at today's full board meeting.
Julie, I checked into some things, and based on our guidelines, I'm the one that has to present it.
Oh, okay.
So, or gets
All right.
to, I don't have to, I get to, I should say.
Okay, well, and as our former budget committee chair, you are very experienced and prepared to do so, huh, Jeff?
Yep. So, yeah, so, but yeah, thanks. We discussed that after I emailed, and then I found out that I needed to be the one to do that, so.
Okay, all right. Is there any other final business that the budget committee needs to address during today's meeting?
I don't think so.
If not, then it looks like we have 2 minutes until the full board meeting starts. And that's a separate link, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to end this meeting and bump you all off, and then you can click the other link.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
everyone,
bye.
for coming
Bye,
today.
thanks. See you at the next one.
See you in a minute.
Bye.